everybody. It's Abby from Craft Industry Alliance. Hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday. We come here live every Wednesday to do a member spotlight where we get to talk to one of our amazing Craft Industry Alliance members, get a little tour of their studio or see some samples of their work, and generally learn more about them. And Radha's a fairly new member of Craft Industry Alliance, and she kind of pivoted from the corporate world to open a creative business during the pandemic, and we're very excited to talk to her. Hi, Radha, how are you?
Hi, Abby. How are you?
So nice to see you, and I love all the denim in your background, and we're going to talk about why that is in a moment. But tell us a little bit about you and your history and sort of what your creative business is all about.
Yeah, so I create patterns and classes for sewing with upcycled materials, usually denim. And I kind of came to this in a little bit of roundabout way where I actually used to work in the denim industry. I used to work for Levi's, and I left during the pandemic, super burnt out. And I never intended to kind of make this into a new career, but it was this just moment of realizing that I could actually help like people be more sustainable and do something I love, which is creating and sewing. And I used to be a seamstress when I was much younger, and actually went to school for design. So it's kind of a full circle moment where I've been able to take these materials, jeans, that I used to create tons of and get out into the world, and now help people keep them out of a landfill and turn them into quilts and bags and kind of little fun things.
So I love denim, and I think we all kind of love denim. I mean, I wear jeans almost every day. I have many pairs of jeans. The jeans I'm wearing today are actually visibly mended on both knees because the holes were gigantic and we're only getting larger. So it was either cut them off and make them shorts or mend them, and I love them and wear them all the time. And I actually, okay, she's not done, but I have this little, I'll show you. She doesn't really have a face yet, but so I apologize. But this is my doll that I'm making. That's all done.
Oh,
She
oh
doesn't
my
have,
gosh.
her face is missing and she's not. Anyway,
I,
she's sitting here on my work desk.
so I think people, like some people are scared to work with new materials. And I think denim is actually one of the easiest materials to work with, in my opinion, because um, it's really stable. I know it's kind of a weird way to say it, but yeah, it is a little bit thicker, and you have to be comfortable sewing through that. But it has there's so many different forms it can take, color that it can take, like, and you can use it for little intricate. I mean, right now I'm working on a 4-inch by 4-inch quilt, or giant quilt bags. It's just really versatile once you kind of get over that hump of trying out new materials.
Yeah, absolutely. And we featured an artist maybe 6 months to a year ago, and paper quilling where you like wrap strips of paper. She's doing quilling with denim. So, which is like crazy. Like but it's so beautiful. And so it just kind of speaks to its versatility overall. But I love denim and I think it's great. And I think in the quilt behind you that you're working on now, it looks like are you interspersing little tiny strips of Liberty in there, which
Yes.
is so pretty too.
So this is actually my new pattern that I'm working on. It's hopefully getting released next month. And what I wanted to do is the first pattern I've written just for denim. Like, you can make it out of any fabric, but I wanted to actually have something that really helps people understand how to take a jean and turn it into a quilt. So, but I wanted to make it, I mean, I love blue. I wear everything is blue and white. Like, I don't need any other color, but I wanted to give people an option to kind of express themselves a little bit more. So in the pattern, there's the option to do like this little accent color. And of course, because I'm mostly sustainable and I am scrappy a lot, and I happen to love Liberty London, I have tons of Tantalon scraps.
Yeah.
And so that's what I used for this, which I also think is some people think, oh my gosh, it's so lightweight. How can you
Yeah.
mix it with denim? But I mean, put some fusible onto it. And it's, again, you can sew it the same way you would any normal fabric with denim. So I do like to, this is kind of as much color as you'll
Right.
probably see.
Right. Yeah, totally beautiful. And so are you, for these big quilt samples that you're making for your patterns, are you going to the thrift store or where are you getting the denim for this?
So, uh, um, the positive and negative of being on social media and people knowing that you work with denim is people really like to give you jeans, which is usually amazing. But it started with like friends and family, where anytime I'd run into like a friend, they'd be like, oh, hey, I just happen to have this bag of my, cousins or whatever partners, like old jeans. Do you want them? And I'm like, okay. Um, but recently I got Catherine Swanson from Swanson's Fabric. We know each other, and I finally got to meet her a couple months ago. But she had gotten a bunch of jeans in her shop, and kind of as a surprise, she sent them to me, which was awesome because I actually needed them because I was making these quilts. So I tend to get them because everyone gives me theirs, but I will thrift, and then also I volunteer at a creative reuse center in San Francisco, and even though they're not supposed to get clothes, sometimes they get jeans, and sometimes they'll just get denim fabric. And since I volunteer there, I don't take it all, but I'm like, oh, I'll take that home and do something with
Yeah.
it.
That's awesome. Okay, great. So what are some of the other things that you've made? We see the quilt behind you, and that one's forthcoming, so not ready yet, but maybe in the
Yep.
future. So do you have any other samples, or I mean, I think people get excited about the possibilities here. So maybe show us what is possible. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
so
sweet.
I have a class that I'm actually currently building onto, but it's called Quilt Your Jeans, and it teaches all these different techniques like weaving and patchwork, checkerboards, um, and because I love to weave denim. And then when I was creating the class, for just one random moment, I was like, huh, this woven piece would be a great tote bag. And but then I'm like, but wait, I can only use things that are also backpacks because I refuse to use my hands for bags. And so this has actually turned into by far my best selling pattern, which is a bag. It's called the tote pack because it's a tote bag and then it converts
Ah, I
into a
see.
backpack.
Yeah.
Um, and that's actually next week. So I added a bunch of video tutorials to it. So I'm relaunching that pattern next week with video tutorials because, again, I know, first off, a lot of quilters, it's a quilted bag, but a lot of quilters haven't done bags and they haven't worked with denim.
Right.
So that was something I really wanted to add. But this, I mean, you can do this with any fabric. It doesn't have to be denim. And then kind of the way that things end up happening for me, they're never really planned. But when I had created this version of my tote pack, which is my personal one, I had a bunch of scraps left over. And so I'm like, oh, that would make like a really cute little wallet. And so that turned into my next pattern, which, if anyone was involved with Quilt 24 last month, we did this as a quilt along. Um, so it's kind of like that's more how I create's very organic, and so while I try to plan ahead, usually one project turns into the next project, kind of turns into the next project.
That's fabulous. And are you doing any in-person teaching or do you want to do in-person teaching?
So I not on purpose, but yes. So I've taught at the Creative Reuse Center. I just did a little thing at my Quilt Guild last month, but generally I don't. I do a lot of Zoom lectures, and I have I'm actually teaching, doing a workshop with Zach Foster's Quilty Nook next month on Zoom. But generally, yeah, if something comes up in the area, I'm unable to ever say no to anybody. But I kind of, we got so used to using Zoom during the pandemic and being able to reach so many people, and that's kind of most of what I do.
Okay. All right. Great. And you pivoted toward this business during the pandemic when you left your corporate job. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the difficulty or ease with which it was to enter this business now. In other words, because I do feel like some people feel like, oh gosh, it's too late for me. You know what I mean? Like everything under the sun's been done. There's
Yeah.
plenty of other people who are quilting with jeans. What does the world need me for? Kind of thing. And it's going to be too difficult to build an audience and get known. And there's a lot of negative things you can say to
Yeah.
yourself, you know. So how was it for you coming into this business 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, for me it has been the most positive like gift, and maybe it's because I was trying to get out of the corporate world for so long and was so stuck and had given up the creative part of me, and I never really thought I'd be able to get it back. So every moment of this journey for me, I've been happy and grateful. And I'm a totally cynical, sarcastic person. It's not like I'm this like super happy person, but it was just the fact that Instagram exists and the fact that there's this online community was the only way that I was able to start doing what I'm doing. And I know that, you know, we all get annoyed with social media for very good reasons, but it's kind of like if you, I believe, so I was in business in the corporate world, and I, you know, so I worked in branding, and I know about kind of having a good business, but what's worked for me is this is like authentically who I am. This is the most who I am that I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I believe, and so you could say, well, I'm lucky that who I am can turn into like a good brand, but I believe that everybody has an option and there's a space for everybody if you're not trying to be other people. If you're like seriously just finding that unique part of who you are, because I think that's also what's really shifted. And I even saw this when I was working in the apparel industry. Customers and people are just a lot smarter than they used to be when it comes to recognizing authentic and what they're looking for. They don't want to buy from a faceless wall. You know, they want to interact with a person, and they want to know who you are and how you feel, and it's just kind of, that's changed a lot. And so I do think, yeah, it's hard, but by being like completely authentically yourself and really just focusing on like what you love to do. I know it makes it sound easier than it is. I work so hard, but I do kind of think that right now that's the way to break through and to be successful.
Yeah, I'm going to 100% agree with you. And I love that. And I love that it's hopeful for folks who are like, okay, well, I want to, you know, I want to start now. It's like, yeah, you absolutely can. And you're going to be, we haven't announced this yet, but I'll just give those of us who are here today a little sneak peek. But you're going to be doing, be part of a panel that we're going to be hosting in November that's going to be focused on sustainability, and I'm excited about that. And I think one of the goals that we set out for that panel is to help business owners consider sustainable business practices that don't involve being like blamed and shamed.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have thoughts about what you're
Yeah.
hoping to achieve with this panel, but
So I mean, that was, first off, like I think anybody working in the sustainability space has to be humble, because you learn new stuff every day, whether you're working at like a multi-billion-dollar company or you're your own business. No one knows exactly the right way to be sustainable. There isn't one. So part of, like, again, this is who I am, but also part of my goal with doing this was to avoid any type of like sustainability shaming or telling people not to do stuff, and approach it in a much more like positive and inclusive way. And it's not because I don't realize, you know, global warming and how like this is a really serious issue, but you're not going to change anybody's mind by like making them feel guilty. And there is so much, I think when we think about sustainability, sometimes we're like, oh gosh, no one wants to talk about it. It's depressing, whatever. Actually, like, people really care if you approach them in the right way. And I actually think it's one of the smartest things that a business can be doing. So I do some business consulting, again, because of my business background. And if a small business right now does not have some type of awareness or focus on sustainability, I think they are missing out on a huge growth opportunity. Like, seriously, people care and they want to feel like they're included, but sustainability doesn't mean you have to sell like organic cotton stuff. Like, that's this
Right.
outdated like way of sustainability equals this. Really, it's about the life cycle of the product. It's how you interact with your customers, how you talk about, you know, consumption. There's a lot of different pieces, and I do think it's a huge opportunity for most businesses, whether they have repair events that, you know, they host repair events if they're a retail store, or have resale as part of their, you know, online shop. So I do try to, yeah, to really keep more of a positive spin on it, because there's enough things like in the world to be real negative about right now. And so I don't know. I don't think it'll help if I'm one of them.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in learning more about this, join us in November. That will be our webinar, and it's going to be a panel. We've got 3 other really wonderful panelists yet to be announced, who will be, but they've all been confirmed. So very excited about that. Who'll be coming to talk about it. It's going to be a great discussion, and I think an important one. And as you said, it's also a business opportunity. So there's lots to be gained there too, from a business perspective. So, oh good, the retro quilter, that's Maud. She says she'll be there.
Hi, Maud. I love Maud. Maud's awesome. I also tell Maud all the time, you have so many amazing vintage fabrics that you should be using, which she does.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's another aspect of this. So, well, Radha, I love talking to you, getting to know you a little bit better. And thank you for being a member and being part of the community. We really value you and your voice. And yeah, and thank you to everybody who came today. If people want to follow along with your upcoming pattern releases, maybe get the convertible bag backpack or the wallet, etc., or just take an online class, where should they go to be able to keep up?
Yep. So I'm sewing through fog everywhere. Sewingthroughfog.com, sewing through fog on, I think, every social media channel that exists.
Perfect.
Which I wouldn't recommend for other people. Yeah, so that's where you can find me.
Okay, great. And I'm assuming the fog reference is a San Francisco reference.
It does. In fact, I am looking at, actually now is our summertime, but I am looking at a lot of fog right now.
Right now. Okay, so that makes it easy to remember. And I hope everybody will, you know, go visit the website, and follow along on Instagram, etc., and just become part of your world. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Abby.
All right, bye everybody. See you next week.